Who have been following the channel for a while know that I am working on a roleplay game called The Shades of Dominion. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into the lore of Shades of Dominion. And it reads, long ago in the fallen realms of Dominion, magic once flowed freely, and there arose many mages, kings, and priests. The magic was so powerful that some even became as gods, able to create and destroy on a whim. And as with such great power, there came great calamity. War broke out across all the realms. This was a war of words, violence, deception, and ideas. Innocents were slaughtered, lands were defiled, worlds were destroyed, and even time became broken and fragmented. And soon, even those timelines were corrupted with the same pain and intrigue. And when annihilation came at the very door for all creation, magic suddenly died. And all the gods were destroyed in but a moment, and there was a great silence in all of the realms. And in the silence the realms came to a peace and delegated in good faith. And then, a few short centuries later, they all came together with a disturbing report. A new force called the Shade had been found in all the realms. The Shade is not magic. Where magic once offered boundless power and magnified its wielder, the Shade instead corrupts and polarizes. Magic was unlimited, whereas the Shade is clearly finite. Wherever the Shade is used, the world dims and fades, then crumbles. Those who use it slowly become caricatures of themselves. A passionate paramour tries to bring their beloved back from the grave, only to become a cold leech. The revolutionary trying to free their people becomes a bloodthirsty sadist. The truth seeker becomes an encyclopedic automaton in the flesh. The righteous man becomes the executioner of every letter of the law, oppressing mercilessly those he once saw as the oppressed. In the Shades of Dominion, you are one of these mages. You took the Shade for a reason, but its afflictions are real and will bring you to heel, or consume you when you fail to exact its price. Deny the Shade, and the Shade will deny you. Now, if you're ready to throw some shade, the Shade comes in 5 unique flavors you can choose from. There are the Shades of Aether, the Shades of Corruption, the Shades of Destruction, Shades of Purity, and Shades of Vitality. The Dominion of Aether, as represented here. The Dominion of Aether is the source of illusion, knowledge, and manipulation. Its powers include those of invisibility, the ability to move using the spaces in between, the power to read and addle the mind. It is the power of the unseen and indescribable, the ineffable, the desire to know that which has never been known. It is the skill of ingenuity and innovation, the need of discovery for its own sake, the yearning to free oneself from all corporal ties and cares, the hunger for the freedom to soar among the firmament made manifest, the frightening powers of logic and deduction, used with utmost precision. And for all that promise, you will be transformed into a distant personage. You will sacrifice intimacy for absolute certainty. You will trade the spotlight for your own solitary genius. You will never be intimidating or respected for your power. You will always trade in secrets, lies, and half-truths. You will feel more comfortable with objects more than persons. You may even learn to prefer machines to men. This is the price of being aether-stained by the Shade. And this is the Dominion of Corruption as represented here. The Dominion of Corruption is the source of ambition, darkness, and death. It is the motivation to stoop low enough to pick up power regardless of the cost. It is the need to terrify and humiliate your friends and foes. With it, you will have the satisfaction of knowing you hold the lives of your enemies in your hands. You will be able to power your spells with blood. You will be able to command the very shadows. Eldritch power will itch at your fingertips. Mortal wounds will be as but mere scratches upon your coil. The dead will rise to do your bidding. Demons will whisper secrets into your ears. You will be able to rip horrors from your enemy's mind, and they will serve at your side. You will have the hunger and means to satisfy your every desire. And for all that promise, you will treat everyone you meet as objects to your own ends. You will have to hide your true self from the innocent, naive mass. You will hide yourself from the light of day. Your bizarre connection to death will cast a macabre tone to your dealings with the rest of society. Your drive to get the job done will leave a trail of innocent lives in your wake no amount of money or power could hide. This is the price of being corruption-stained by the shade. And that brings us to the Dominion of Destruction, as represented here. The Dominion of Destruction is the source of chaos, combustion, and passion. It is the fiery explosion. It is the smashing of finery. It is the bloodlust of battle. With this dominion, you can erupt flames from your clenched fist. It is the adrenaline flowing through your veins. It is the inspiration of the battle cry. It is the broken bottle in a bar fight. You will be fearsome and intimidating. You will also have the power of persuasion, the ability to share your ideals and call others to action to further your ends. You can temporarily convert enemies to your cause. That same source of inspiration can rally your troops, causing hatred for the enemy. Your troops will jump to their feet even after being severely wounded in the fight. You can gather the energy to assail your foes with multiple devastating attacks in quick succession. And if that were not enough, there is a lustful charm to it all. And for all that promise, you will be an erratic psychopath with an itchy trigger finger and a glass ego to boot. You will ruin all the best laid plans in your wake. You will be known as an unreliable arsonist, a rebel without cause or remorse. Your emotions will be as random and intense as a spoiled child, and those around you must adapt accordingly. This is the price of being destruction-stained by the shade. Next we have the Dominion of Purity, as represented here. The Dominion of Purity is the source of light, order, and protection. It possesses the powers of healing and refreshment. It specializes in the ability to protect from harm. This is the power that establishes rule of law. The holy flames of justice will lash back at your foes. Impenetrable unseen shields defend against foreign attacks. Soldiers stand in organized phalanx formations at your command. Your shield gleams with supernal glory, deflecting both spell and blade alike. Your soldiers bolster, encourage, and defend one another. You can banish enemies for the time needed to make peace with their fellows, then deal with them when they arrive empty-handed. And at a moment's notice, you can reveal your divine nature and take to the heavens with eagle's wings. You can restore health to the wounded and return the artifact to shining brand new glory. For all of that promise, you will forever remain an idealistic fool. You will always tell the truth even to those who will use it against you. Your naivety will cause your powers to harm the innocent. Worse yet, you will alienate your allies by demanding they live up to your impossible standards and expectations. You will be a neat freak, and you will even abstain from a just cause because the battle lacks honor. This is the price of being purity stained by the shade. And that brings us to the Dominion of Vitality, as represented here. The Dominion of Vitality is the source of growth, instinct, and nature. It is the bulging muscle of the bear, the feral speed of the mongoose, the poisonous bite of the serpent. It is the ensnaring vines that choke and hold. It is the trained quickness of muscle memory. It is the evolutionary force that adapts and survives. It is the killer instinct that smells fear. It is the keen ear that can find you by your heartbeat alone. It is communion with the beast without and the beast within. It is the refilling of lost resources, the shade especially. But most interesting of all, it is the rejection of the shade. The hunger to revert to a simpler time before the shade was. A time where nature and its merits ruled over all rather than shortcuts and cheap tricks. And for all that promise, you will be alone. You will never bargain for what you can take by force. Your poisonous touch will alienate ally and foe alike. You will reject and destroy advanced technology, and despite the ability to restore the shade within shade vessels, after your task is done, you will cleanse the shade from you and your party. This is the price of being vitality stained by the shade. Now, all of that isn't enough without explaining to you how not only the players interact in the game, but also the Game Master, or as we call them, the Shade Master. Their explanation begins here. When the realms were about to face annihilation, magic did not die. But seeing the horror it had unleashed, it awakened, and magic as one simply withdrew to the void, and there began to mutate and grow voracious and barbed. Never again would it be used by the whims of mortals or beasts. Now, as the shade, it would determine who lived and who died. The shade would be the very life force of worlds. No more would magic be used. The shade will pull the strings of any and all who dare try to claim it. Let the mortals come and drink deeply of the power of life and death, nature and artifice, destruction and creation, order and chaos, and be enslaved by it. And thus the shade was born, rooting itself into the lives, destinies, and fates of all living things. You, as the Shade Master, play the shade in the game. Your goal and agenda is to maintain control and balance of the realms. You do this by manipulating the player characters into adventures and quests, prodding them with their desires and outright forcing them with their shade afflictions. Such is the price of the shade. And that's where we're going to end the video. As you make a character in this game, as you might have guessed, in addition to taking your powers, some of your powers will have connected with them these things called shade afflictions. And these shade afflictions can be used to motivate the characters and players into situations that are advantageous to them and will help motivate and continue the story in a more natural fashion. I hope you guys enjoyed this little sneak peek into the Shades of Dominion core rulebook. This is going to be the Shades of Dominion core set, because there's going to be more releases of this game in the future as soon as we get it sold. So I thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you liked what you saw. As always, till next time, stay carnal.